Hello friends, I am Dr. Prakash Patil, Head Department of English, Miraz Mahavidyalaya Miraz. Very warm welcome to you in this module. Friends, we all of us are very well aware that many of the Indian writers very vigorously and realistically depicted the trauma of partition in their literary works in English as well as other Indian languages. So friends, what I have decided to do is that I would like to share with you a well-known short story based on partition entitled A Leaf in the Storm by Lalita Ambika Anantarajanam. First and foremost, we have hurriedly a glance at the contents of the module. Objectives, introduction of the author Lalita Ambika, the story, characters, theme, critical appreciation of the short story, the title of the short story. After studying this short story, you will understand the historical perspective of partition of India and Pakistan. You will also understand the deep effects of partition on social life. At the same time, you will understand how trauma of partition violence was difficult to articulate, how the women were more sufferers than men. You will understand some of the unexposed dimension of the partition. Now let us we have a brief glance at the author. Lalita Ambika Antarajanam, Indian author and social reformer. She was often considered the first woman of Malayalam letters. She was born on 30th March 1909 in an Orthodox Nambudiri family in Punalpur, Kollam. She received no formal education. She learned Malayalam and Sanskrit at home from her father. Her writings captured the spirit of the period and the struggle of the young generation. She died on 6th February 1987. Awards. She has received Kerala Sahitya Academy Award for novel. In 1976, her novel Agni Sakshi published in Malayalam language. Attakarukuramnu Attakaham is autobiography of Lalita Ambika. In 1977, she has received prestigious Sahitya Academy Award and Kerala Sahitya Award for her novel. She was honored by Kerala Sahitya Academy Fellowship. Friends, now let me explain the story in brief. The present short story deals with a young girl, Jyotirmai Devpal. She is a young girl who loved her freedom. She had been raped along with 15 women while crossing the border at the time of India-Pakistan partition. Her unfortunate fate brings her to a refugee camp. She was raped by the hooligans and she has carrying the seed of damnation in her womb. She wanted to abort the illegitimate child as it is a stigma on her character. However, finally she decided to accept her fate and not to abandon the child, though it is a bastard from the eyes of the people. Now, have a glance at the characters in the story. Jyotirmai Devpal is a pivotal character around whom the whole action of the story revolves. She is a young girl brought up in a well-to-do family in happiness. She is a young girl who refused for her marriage proposal, so she is self-assertive in her nature. Virgin Jyoti all of a sudden became a victim of the gendered partition. Trauma of rape was catastrophic mental shock in her life. The story depicts a character whose world totally ruined, yet she manages through the compassion for illegitimate child. In the end of the short story, Jyoti emerges as the new woman of the modern era. So far other characters in the short story are concerned, Ayesha is also important character. She is a bosom friend of Jyoti. She is a daughter of Kasim, a good friend of Jyoti's father. At the time of partition riots, Muslim Ayesha has given refuge to 15 women in her house. This secret was even hidden by Ayesha from her brother Ali. Ayesha's plan to rescue these women across the border in her father's bullock cart. She too presents secular spirit and firm faith in communal cooperation. There are also two characters important in the short story. They are Doctor and Kasim. These are minor characters but they play important role for the development of action. Doctor in the refugee camp who extends parental care and gives ray of hope to Jyoti. He gives her courage to live and also strengthen her confidence. When Jyoti rejects food in the camp, at this moment it was the doctor who persuades her to drink milk. Another character, Kasim, he is a Muslim who is a friend of Jyoti's father. He is a father of Ayesha. Like his daughter, he too is a social minded. He too wants a help honestly to rescue these 15 women across the border in his bullock cart. Let us we have to see the theme of the short story. So the themes of the short story are triumph of life force over death. There is also the conflict between communal forces and secular forces. The short story also highlights sexual assault and physical disfigurement of women. And the short story finally presents the emergence of new woman through Jyoti's character in the modern. Friends, now let us have a glance at a critical appreciation of the short story. Friends, let me tell you how the present story depicts the pathetic tale of Jyotirmay Devpal, an unmarried girl in the refugee camp after partition riots. Young Jyoti, who emerged as a rebel against social orthodoxy and communalism. Her dream is to give freedom to those women by rescuing them across the border, but she herself mercilessly trapped as a victim. Aisha, her Muslim bosom friend, tried to help in this matter, but she too fails in her attempt. Jyoti, his unmarried girl, became pregnant from rape committed on her during the partition riots. Conflict in the mind of Jyoti to abort her newly born child. But the newly awakened motherly love and her compassion forced her not to abort her child. So far the narration technique is concerned, we find mixed narrative technique in this short story. The setting of this short story is a western Punjab of partition time. Friends, after reading this short story, you will find out some conclusions of the short story, and they are sexual assault and physical disfigurement of women at the time of partition riots. To destroy the male honor, women were deliberately targeted by communal forces. Jyoti, a victim of partition, to suffer from identity crisis. Molesting women's body turns out to be an idiom of the conquest. The protagonist finally emerges as the new woman. Partition brought multiple levels of suffering and experience, especially for women. Title of the short story: from her teenage period, Jyoti's life itself symbolizes as a storm. The storm is in the form of storm of partition riots. The storm also arises in the form of Jyoti's predicament about fetus in her womb, to abort it or to nourish it. The storm also presents existential crisis and dilemma in the mind of Jyoti. Jyoti suffers a heart-rending mental conflict. It also emblems her emotional storm. The leap in the title emblems for newly born child. Acceptance of child by Jyoti and its survival presents the leap survives in the storm. These are the references which will help you to understand the further short story and its aspects and in detail theme of the short story. So these are the references. Acknowledgement. First and foremost, I express my deep sense of gratitude to Professor Sharad Patil, Chairman of our Samstha, and my Guru. I also express gratitude to my principal, Dr. C.T. Karande, and all my colleagues for their motivation to prepare this video. I owe debt of gratitude to the library of Miraj Mahavidyalaya Miraj for providing me ready references on partition. I also express words of gratitude to my daughter Mrs. Pooja and son Praful for providing technical assistance for the preparation of the video. I also express words of gratitude to my better half Mrs. Sujata for preparation of the video. Thank you.